heart is full of hate. He butthurts, cries, and a dark shadow falls over this troll. From the ashes of a once great fandom has risen a meme, an LOL that must be liked. We look to the airways for a vindicator, someone to strike fear in the dark basement of the parents who created him. The battle between fan and smart has begun. With a head on his shoulders stands the smart fan, a speaker of truths, with a voice of silence, and a radio show of justice. This is Ring Rust.
Jay Lethal, of course, is currently the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion, and he'll be defending that title next Friday in Sam's Town Live, Las Vegas, Nevada, on pay-per-view, Death Before Dishonor for Ring of Honor Wrestling. Since it's going to be next Friday, I thought it would be a good idea not to preview it next Friday, because by the time the podcasted version of this show goes up, the show will already be over, so it's not really much point. And same for NXT TakeOver. More than likely, the show will be over or in the process of happening, or like within hours of happening by the time I preview it, if I were to do it next week. So I'm going to preview that in the second hour of my show. But right now, we have 8 matches officially announced. They'll probably add others later on down the road. And, yeah, so I'll take them probably 2 at a time. So I'll have time to get everything done. Theoretically, anyway, I have time to get everything done, because there's going to be music involved as well. And songs, of course, are of differing lengths. So let's get to it, shall we? Let's take care of the 2 battling brothers. We got a grudge match which sees Jay Briscoe taking on Hangman Adam Page. So I'm going to predict that Jay Briscoe is going to come out on top of that one, because it's Jay Briscoe. And, you know, he has dental work that makes him look like he's a really good fighter. He fights good, yes. And his brother Mark Briscoe will be challenging Bobby Fish for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. I suspect the Briscoes are going to end up coming out on top of this one, both of them more than likely. So we'll see, though. I won't be utterly disappointed if it's one or the other, or neither, quite frankly. Bound to be some hard-hitting matches. One's a grudge match. A Briscoe brother in a grudge match has to be a hard-hitting match. It'll be like telling Balls Mahoney it's a hardcore title. It's a hardcore match. Or, I don't know. Anyway, or insert ECW wrestler here. It's a hardcore match. Except Rob Van Dam. He seems to excel at being extremely technical in hardcore matches. But anyway, not that he wouldn't do a hardcore match, but at any rate, Briscoe's coming out on top of both their matches, I predict. You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. This is Fanboy Mark Jabroni. You're listening to Ring Rust. So, speaking of the World Television Championship, there's a number one contenders 4-corner survival match, which will see Leo Rush versus Jay White versus Donovan Dijak. I don't know. I haven't seen anything, I think, of him. I haven't really been watching Ring of Honor as regularly as I should be, but I'm planning on catching up before seeing the show. So, and they're also taking on Kamatachi, I think. I don't really know either of these guys. I think I recognize Donovan's name, and Kamatachi, I think I recognize his name too, but I think for the sake of it, I'll just say Jay White's going to win, because that's like the easiest name to say. And if he doesn't win, it's like, oh well. So, and a 6-man tag, which will see the team of, hang on, now, you know me, I like tag team, I like making up tag team names. Chaos, which is Toru Yano, and the team of RPG Vice, which is Rocky Romero and Beretta, taking on the Bullet Club, which is Yojiro, and the team of Fafita to be Tied. I hope that's how you pronounce their name, or else they may come and, hurt me. Tamatonga and Tangaloa. So it's the Bullet Club. They're probably going to win. Because that's just kind of how they've been going. So, Radio Shrug, you're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. So back to Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor, which is on pay-per-view this coming Friday, August 19th, from Las Vegas, Nevada. The next two matches we'll be talking about: Pro Wrestling's Last Real Man, Silas Young, will be taking on Kashira, because Japanese don't seem to pronounce the U, as you can tell from Asuka and Shinsuke Nakamura. There's a U in both their names that you don't pronounce. So, Kashira Shibata, again with the U, that's how I think it's going to be pronounced. And I know who Silas Young is, so I'll predict he's going to win. That's more or less, since I haven't actually been keeping up on Ring of Honor as much as I probably should be, that's probably how I'm going to predict most of these matches. I'm not going to be disappointed if it goes one way or the other. I'm going to enjoy the show. I can pretty much guarantee I'll enjoy the show. And a non-title match, IWGP Heavyweight Champion Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada versus Dalton Castle. And since it's non-title, and since I got this massive man crush on Dalton Castle, I'm going to predict he's going to win that match. He might not, considering the size difference. But I'm just going to say anyway, because maybe there'll be shenanigans. I suspect there may be shenanigans. I'm just remembering the last pay-per-view I saw him wrestle on with his quote-unquote boys, and they were fanning him from outside the ring, and he had his opponent tied up on the mat, and I imagined him saying, "Fan only me, you idiots!" And then they adjust how they're fanning so that they're, in theory anyway, only fanning him. That just seems like the kind of thing he'd say, "Fan only me, you idiots. Don't fan him, fan me." And then he just flicks his hair back while he's got whatever the hold is. I just love that character. I love his performance of it. I love his peacock entrance. So, that man is wrestling. You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. This is Fabulous Mark Jabroni. You're listening to Ring Rust on 3.5 C2 FM. So, we got two matches left for the... Oh, God. Seems to take great glee in the theme song that he signed himself as well. If I can have your attention, please. I just received an email from the ridiculous Ring Rust general manager. You do realize that in 2 weeks' time you're going to need to do results on 3 shows. Death Before Dishonor, back to Brooklyn, and SummerSlam. Yeah, well, I guess that's just going to be how it is, I guess. That's why I'm doing Death Before Dishonor and the TakeOver preview this week, so I can give all my attention to SummerSlam next week, and then essentially just have the audio version of a complete nervous breakdown the following week, trying to cover all 3 shows. Let's just ask the Magic Smart Ball, which I haven't done in a while. Am I going to be able to handle reviewing 3 shows in a 2-hour span while also playing some music, because I like music and so do you, or else you wouldn't still be listening? Face turn. So that's a good thing. So, yes, I can handle it. So, the last 2 matches we have here: triple threat for the World Tag Team Championship. Control Issues, which is Tetsuya Naito and Evil, versus High Fly Flow, Michael Elgin and Hiroshi Tanahashi, versus The Addiction. That was boring. They already had that team. Anyway, versus The Addiction, Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian, who are defending their championships. Yeah, I can see The Addiction retaining their titles for the time being. They're certainly all solid performers. I don't really know much about Evil, but stop laughing. The wrestler named Evil. But other than that, I know the rest of them are fairly talented, and some are unfairly talented, but that's my opinion. And I do look forward to seeing the Addiction defending their titles, but I'm also looking forward to the match overall. And the final match is the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship match, which sees Jay Lethal defending his title against Adam Cole, who just, recently on Ring of Honor TV just got beaten down by the club, so I don't know what kind of condition he's going to be in to face Jay Lethal, and maybe Jay Lethal will take advantage of it. Maybe he'll once again act all fair and say, hey, I want to have a fair match with this guy, and I certainly don't want this suddenness of me joining the club. Wink, wink. Why is he winking into the mic? Why is he saying wink, wink into the microphone? I don't know. Just go along with it. Well, he's winking for the TV crowd, apparently. So, yeah, I suspect Jay Lethal will still defend his title, and it'll hopefully, anyway, end up being a fair match. And if not, then hopefully there'll be other people making it fair by keeping the Bullet Club away from ringside, or fending them off, or having a big old brawl, or whatever.
Yes! Yes! Mind-taking! Stick with the kid, baby! I'll make you fun size!
Now, rather than go into the NXT TakeOver preview, I'll just read a quick thing here, and then go to the top of the hour, and then go into NXT. So, I'm gonna do my marking out for the Cruiserweight Classic a little bit early. Cruiserweight Classic second round kicked off with not one, but two 5-star showdowns. Grand Metallic defeated Tajiri in the second round match in a match full of kicks and flips and stuff you'd expect, really, quite frankly, from both these individuals and both from Cruiserweights, indeed. And, of course, Kota Ibushi defeated Cedric Alexander in two moderately awesome matches. If you haven't seen... Well, don't start with this. If you haven't seen the Cruiserweight Classic yet, go back to week 1. You need to see the whole thing. Don't just watch one show and say, oh, that sounds like it was a good show. This is 2 matches in 1 hour. So they gave each match more than ample time, I think. And it's a special surprise for Cedric Alexander at the end of that show. People were actually not disappointed. That's the wrong word. People were, well, I guess disappointed that he didn't win, but not disappointed for him. They just wanted to see more of Cedric Alexander. So, of course, who should come out but Triple H? Came out, gave him a pat on the shoulder, raised his hand up, waved to the fans, yeah, I got this. And then they both went backstage, and the crowd was going, yes, 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 because he's going to get a contract, obviously. Or at least Triple H wants him to think he's going to get a contract. Maybe he just needs to, here, lay down in this hole, I need to bury somebody. But anyway. Anywho, hopefully that's not going to happen, but I'm not really expecting that to happen. I'm just being facetious. Both matches actually had the crowds, massively reacting to almost everything they were doing, so they were just really having a good time, making the crowd roar.
This is 93.5 CHMR FM.
Presents Macho Facts. Randy Savage is currently suing NBC, claiming Law and Order are trademark names for his left and right elbows. And when his top rope elbow drop prowess fails to resolve a situation, the Macho Man plays dead. When playing dead doesn't work, he plays zombie. This is Fatboy Mark Jabroni. You're listening to Ring Rust. And so now, into the NXT TakeOver Back to Brooklyn preview for take place on August 20th. So that's next Saturday. So it's going to be Ring of Honor Friday, NXT Saturday, and SummerSlam Sunday. The following week's Ring Rust I'm not looking forward to. When it comes to, not that I'm not going to enjoy it, it's just keeping ahead of everything and actually getting 3 shows reviewed in a 2-hour block, which includes music. So I'm going to take them like at least 2 matches at a time. For this, though, I think I can spread this out and actually potentially do 1 match at a time. But 1 match I don't really have much to talk about, so I'm just going to combine it with the match that's listed here after it. So, Ember Moon will be taking on To Be Determined. Since I don't know much of anything about Ember Moon, and I know even less about To Be Determined, gets around, though. That wrestler gets around. Men and women matches. So, that's like an actual person named Vacant holding a title. Anyway, so I'm guessing Ember Moon's probably going to win, because unless To Be Determined is going to be also a major debut, and they want that person to win, I honestly don't know. And No Way Jose will be taking on Austin Aries. Neither of these are for anything in particular, just sort of singles matches, so, no biggie, I suppose, if one of them wins and the other doesn't. But I kind of do expect, though, Austin Aries will end up coming out on top of that one, because neither man really will suffer, I don't think, from losing that match, but I think Austin Aries might prosper that much more than what No Way Jose would. No Way Jose is kind of just there to be a happy presence and stuff. So, let's see, I guess. You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. The next match we have here for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2, or Back to Brooklyn, or whatever you want to call it. They've been referring to it as Back to Brooklyn, so it's listed here on the Wikipedia page as Brooklyn 2. So, anyway, once again, taking place August 20th. It's coming to us on the WWE Network from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. So, the next match we have here sees the NXT Tag Team Championships being defended. The Revival, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder will be defending against Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Now, since they don't seem to have a name for their tag team, and I enjoy making up tag team names. How about? Well, I was looking at their various Wikipedia pages to see if there was any connection between the two, or if they actually had a tag team name listed. There's no tag team name listed, but one of the moves that Johnny Gargano does, I think, or I'm not sure if it's Gargano or Ciampa, but they do a move called Hurts Donut, as in D-O-N-U-T, Hurts Donut. So I figured, why not? Or, I suppose I could call them Chrome Hearts. That's their current theme song name. That kind of sounds dumb, though, as a tag team name. I suppose another name I could come up with is McDuck Money.
I can see his inner.
Clean up in aisle 3.
You're listening to wrestling superstar, the Triple X Sex Express Sexy Eddie, and you're listening to Ring Rust, the one and only wrestling talk radio show.
This is Fatboy Mark Jabroni. You were listening to Ring Rust. So now it's time for this week's three-way dance-off.
Welcome to tonight's main event!
And we have a capacity crowd on hand for this battle of the millennium.
So, since we're talking about the NXT TakeOver, and one of the big matches they have that they're putting a lot of effort into promoting and stuff, is the women's title match, which sees champion Asuka defending against Bayley. I'll give my prediction for it, I guess, after the three-way dance-off. I'll use, I guess the three-way dance-off is kind of going to be my prediction as well, I guess, now that I think on it. Because several months ago, someone asked Asuka on Twitter what her favorite band was, and she said Guns N' Roses. So I thought, I bet you I could find 3 great Guns N' Roses songs that are radio-friendly and don't have any cursing in them and weren't top 40 and all that kinds of great stuff, and turns out I could. You're listening to Ring Rust Redux on Jabronology TV. This is Fatboy Mark Jabroni. You were listening to Ring Rust, so we got 2 matches left, and I think maybe just enough time to do them. Andrade Almas, I'm not 100% certain how to pronounce it. I mean, I hear his name being pronounced every time I watch NXT, but it's like in one ear and out the other. So, They'll be taking on Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode came out and challenged him on this past week's episode of NXT. And that's probably going to be a rip-roaring match. You know, Bobby Roode being, you know, the good journeyman that he is, and willing to help get other stars over and help, you know, get himself over in the process. And, you know, he's just plain glorious. And that's, of course, who I predict is going to come out on top of this match. So, you never know. Could be Mr. Almas or Senor Almas or things.
Like me on Facebook, tinyurl.com/ringrust. Follow me on Twitter @MarkGibroni. And subscribe to Jarbronology TV, youtube.com/fanboymarkgibroni.
There's only really one more, just only time for one more song. There's only one more match, so let's just do it, shall we? Samoa Joe will be defending his NXT Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't really see Samoa Joe losing it just yet, but I wouldn't be really disappointed if Shinsuke were to end up on top of this one and win the title. I wouldn't actually be too disappointed either if either of these two fine gentlemen made their way to the main roster sometime soon, but again, we'll keep an eye out for it.
That's it for another show, kiddies. Check me out on Facebook, where you can keep track of all the news that's right on the mark, from around ringside to the latest concerts. See you at the shows. Later days.
Stay tuned for the heterosexual cavalcade mover swank featuring Diana Krall's debut album, Steppin' Out.
This is 93.5 CHMR FM.